Hey guys, here are two examples of how we can solve algebraic proportions. So, as you read earlier, proportions are basically when you have two ratios set equal to one another, or a fraction equal to a fraction. We use what we call cross multiplication in order to solve this. And with cross multiplication, what you want to do is take your cross products and set them equal to another. Now, cross products, as you know, the word product is the answer to a multiplication problem, which means you are going to multiply across the equal sign. Now, it is really important that you use parentheses when you are setting up these problems. So, let's just set up the first equation, okay? And it doesn't matter whether you would write the blue side on the left and the yellow side on the right. It doesn't really make a difference. Okay, I'm going to start out by saying 5 times b plus 3 is equal to 4 times b minus 8. Okay, now again, if you had written this quantity first and the second quantity on the other side of the equation, that would be fine. Again, because they're equal to each other. What's very important is that I use parentheses. Okay, so notice I grouped my quantities and I put them in parentheses when I set up the equation. Okay, now I have an equation to solve. And some of you may like to put a little line underneath your equal sign to separate the right from the left side. That can be a good habit to get into. Now we would just distribute. So 5 times b is 5b. 5 times 3 is 15. I'm going to set that equal to, and again I'm distributing on the right, 4b minus 32. Okay, so now I notice that I have variables on both sides of the equation. I have b's on the left-hand side and b's on the right-hand side. So I need to move my variables to one side. So what I like to do is I always like to keep my variables positive if possible. So if I had moved my 5b to the right side with subtraction, I'd end up with a negative number. So instead, I'm going to move my b's to the left. 5b minus 4b is 1b, or just b. Okay, so I have b plus 15 equals negative 32. Okay, and I have one last step in order to solve for b, and that would be to subtract 15 from each side. So b is going to be equal to negative 47. And again, I can always check my work because this is an equation. Okay, so let's look at example 2. Again, I can look and see, and I know I have a fraction equal to a fraction, okay, or two ratios that are equal. So I'm going to use cross multiplication. So I'm going to take my cross products, I'm going to highlight them, and I'm going to remember to use parentheses when I am setting this up. So again, we'll start over here. I can say 4 times the quantity a plus 6, and that's going to be equal to 2 times 5a plus 10. Okay, so now I need to distribute. 4 times a is 4a. 4 times 6 is 24. 2 times 5a is 10a. 2 times 10 is 20. Okay, so I can see, again, I have variables on both sides of the equation. A's on the left, A's on the right. And again, I could move my variables to either side of the equation, but I like to keep my variables positive. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to move my a's to the right-hand side. Okay, so I have 24 is equal to 10a minus 4a is 6a plus 20. Again, now when I'm solving for a, I need to isolate my variable, so I would subtract 20 from both sides. 24 minus 20 is 4. Okay, and in order to solve for a, my last step would be to divide both sides by 6. Okay, so 4/6 is a fraction, but that's not the best fraction since I can simplify. So 4 and 6 are both divisible by 2. So my final answer would be 2/3. And again, I always want to leave my answers as fractions. I don't want to give any decimal answers. Okay.